anything in particular you want to highlight today? Because I know we didn't have an episode last week, so didn't know.
I thought you said you got a fill. I didn't even check.
Yeah, I was gonna, and then I actually decided that, you know what, I'm gonna take this opportunity to take the whole week of content off just to focus on other things right now. So I was like, oh, okay. So for FYI, said co-host, there has been no podcast.
Did we communicate about it? Did we tell them?
I told it into my community, but like in my Discord, just like, hey guys.
No one even asked me.
Yeah. I feel the love, KM besties. Really, thanks.
I have no specific stuff. I mean, I guess they finally remembered they can press the button that makes good cards. They were like, it's been a while of us like them making a card that we're like, that's a 1, and then it turns out to be like a 3.
All right, so then I'll grab this. Here, go ahead and push the button.
Oh, is that the button that makes good cards?
Yes.
Is it the button? Is that it?
Yeah.
Is that the button that makes good cards?
That's why Second Dinner hasn't had it for quite some time. Because it was floating around in other hands, and then they brought it over here, and they were like, here, what is this thing? And I went, let's find out.
And then it was the button that they were like, that didn't do anything, and they pressed it at least one more time to make Jane Foster. We'll see about Psylocke, but it's possible they press the make a card that is actually good button 3 times. It's extremely possible.
I'm actually way more intrigued that you're higher on Jane Foster than Psylocke.
Yeah. Is because Jane Foster has a much higher floor. That's it. Her floor is just way higher.
Really?
Yep.
I feel like that's how we're going to start, because I'm completely the opposite.
Before I played with the cards, I was the opposite. But no, Jane Foster is just like, oh yeah, that's good. Like, that's good. That's good in like a Wilson Fiske kind of way, where it's going to be like a month, and then a month from now, people are gonna be like, man, that's a really messed up card. Like, that's my Jane Foster prediction, is people are just gonna be like, oh, she's fine. Other stuff is gonna overshadow her. And then at some point she will just be like, wow, I lost to Jane again. Can't believe it happened again. I don't think she's necessarily, I don't know. She isn't an archetypal fit the way Wilson Fisk is, but the card is just good. Like, Wilson Fisk, it was like, that's a clearly good card, and it goes in the specific archetype. This is much less clear about where it goes, but it is extremely clearly a good card. Like, oh yeah, the bar is now higher. You have a higher bar to reach if you want to be a good 3. It's a good-ass card.
When I was messing with the card, I was trying a bunch of, to be clear, things that were a little bit more obscure, but I also went up against it quite a few times in just other testing it with other shells and things like that. And I just felt like it reminded me a lot of Drax Avatar of Life. It's just
really good and just had to get nerfed.
It got nerfed because of the deck, not because of the card. You know that, and I know that.
I'm just saying, card was really good and did have to get nerfed. And this card
was good in one deck, maybe 2.
Sure. I will.
But it wasn't
totally fine.
I still think that nerf, because we didn't talk about the OTAs last week, but like, I still think that nerf was unjustified. I understand Galactus First Steps.
I'm more mad about Galactus First Steps because I think it's just like,
I agree with your take. I have heard your take on this.
But it's a podcast, so I should probably say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They should have buffed other 6s instead of nerfing this guy. This guy's only an outlier because every other 6 is terrible. Yeah. And I think that 6 drops, sort of by definition, are going to suffer from a sort of opposite of the move bounce problem, where whatever the biggest idiot 6 drop is just going to have a pretty high win rate at like the majority of player base elo because it's a big guy. But it's intensified with Galactus First Steps, because Galactus First Steps, and this is going to sound stupid, Galactus First Steps tells you to win a location, and then he wins the other location.
It's not stupid.
I know that sounds dumb a little bit, but
No.
that is what he does, right? And so like there are like I do think that maybe he's still an outlier in a world where other sixes are better, but I also think that a lot of the time when you're looking for a six to play, he was that six. And it didn't have to be like that if they just followed through on making six drops a little bit better. Like it didn't have to be Galactus first steps in the spotlight if after they buffed Hulk 6 months ago, they decided to do anything to any other six drops. But they did not do that. And so for 6 months, Galactus First Steps has just been the six drop, and it is not his fault, and this was unjust.
No, I 100% agree. I think if you're going to, you got to remember the construction of the game where you just constantly are feeling like, okay, as you're going into the final turn, if you're playing down a card as a 6-cost card, you are saying that this card is going to either win 2 lanes all by itself because you did all the prior legwork, or it is going to win a lane because you've already won a different lane going into the final turn. It has to do one of 2 things. Galactus First Steps does exactly as you said. It says, hey, go win that lane. I got this. And he's really good at doing that. And he's also good at the mind game that comes with it. You see the halo on the board. You see it constantly flashing the power. You know what's about to potentially happen, but do they? Or do they doom because it's Doom 2099? Ho, like it presents a really different game plan versus, where you have a Drax Avatar of Life going, yeah, I fit into that perfectly. I fit into what I want to do with that deck pretty damn well. Jane Foster, on the other hand, wants to act the same way, but can't. I feel like Jane actually works better in the Wiccan shells than in the Wilson Fisk shells. And the reason is because it's one of the few times you want to minimize the chance of drawing the card. You want Quicksilver to take a card into your hand to have it be 3 cards only. You don't want to draw it on turn 2. You want to draw it turn 3 or later. And when you do that and you have 2 plugged cards and now you're only working with a 10 card deck, you have a 70% chance to draw the card in a turn that it will actually have a useful effect. That makes...
I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
I wasn't arguing that she goes in Wilson Fisk shells. I was arguing that she is a similar card to Wilson Fisk in that she is just flat good, but not particularly exciting. And eventually she will have her moment of people realizing that she is just flat good. Because like when Fisk came out, a lot of the reaction was, I'm not very excited by this. That's just a guy. And it's like, yeah, that guy is and has been one of the 5 best cards in Marvel Snap the entire time he's been here.
That's fair. He's been consistent.
I don't necessarily think she's going to be, one of the 5 best cards in Marvel Snap, but I would be totally unsurprised if she was like, I don't know, one of the 10 to 15 most played cards in a month. I'd be pretty unsurprised by that. Like, I just think that it's one of those cards that is bubbling under the surface in a way that gives her a super high floor. And if at any point the metagame, like, tide pool dips to the point where that floor is relevant, she's there, ready and waiting. If they nerf Wilson Fisk, if they nerf Kraglin, she's right there, ready to pounce. You know what I mean? Right there, sitting there.
Right, and that's a big element of it, though. That's a big element of it.
There are a ton of problems with her, right? Like you don't have a lot of synergies you want to play her with. She doesn't work with Wilson Fisk because she's a 3/4. She doesn't work with boost decks necessarily because she might afflict your opponent's stuff. She doesn't work with afflict decks necessarily because she might boost your stuff. All that is true. 100%. Card is still good. Card is still just good. That is a good ass 3.
I'm going to change my comparison then.
Mm-hmm.
This is Copycat.
Yes.
Jane Foster Fractured Frontier is Copycat. It's I need a good 3. I can play it on 3 or I can play it on 6. It's going to do the thing I need it to do when I draw it, and I know exactly what it's going to do at any given point in the game.
Yep, this is Copycat.
Yeah, this is basically just Copycat. For that exact reason, that's why I don't think it's going to hit those thresholds. it's not going to hit the this is cracked element. Copycat had to get buffed for it to be played more. It went from 3.4 to 3.5.
Did it? Am I being gaslit or am I gaslighting you? I don't know that it did. I thought it came out at 3.5. That was my impression. And then it got nerfed, which, like, very funny, quote unquote nerf, because people talked about it like it mattered and it did not matter at all. No, Copycat was released as a 3.5. The only balance
did it go 5.4.5?
No, it's never been 4. It is at no point ever been 4. You made that up. Yep.
What am I thinking of that went like 5.4.5?
My phone number.
Nocturne. There we go. Sorry. The other blue, weird looking 3-drop that is random.
Sure. Mixed up your blue
That's
ladies,
a reasonable one. Okay, that's a really reasonable confusion. Give me that one.
I don't know, man.
It is. You see it on the board, you're confused. You have to look like 3 times to make sure it's the right card.
You. I'm
because
not
there's
confused.
An audience listening.
They might be. You see it on the board. You're confused.
I'm confused all the time, though. Let's be honest here. That's why you're where your rank is, and that's where why I am where my rank is.
I mean, I at the time of recording this podcast have played 2 hours of this Marvel Snap season, so I don't want to act like I know everything.
I've done 15, 14.
Really, man, how do you do it? I've sort of made a conscious effort to try to not stream early season stuff because it's incredibly frustrating because, like, you'll take 2 days off and then a bunch of people will be infinite and they'll be like, here's the deck I hit infinite with. And it's like, I know you don't know that you're, like, insulting me right now, but, like, I do not need help to do that. And it's just so bad because, like, I'm so prickly that, like, I take it as an insult and I shouldn't, right? I shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But just the nature of who I am as a person makes streaming that stuff really difficult because, like, once you get there, it's fine. Like, I've actually had a kind of insane climb. Like, I've been doing really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that when I come in, I'll come in, like, pretty high up because that's what happens when you have a kind of insane climb. Like 8 Cuban people that are people, not bots, like just 8 Cuban people a lot. And so, like, when you have a good climb like that, you know it's going to be a good entry.
That's impressive that you're only going up against Cubans and you've only played 8 games of Marvel Snap.
If I played 8 games of Marvel Snap over the course of 2 hours, that would be kind of an insane flex.
Not really, it just means you're playing Conquest.
All right, of course, everyone's favorite. Oh, but no, I'm not infinite yet. We're recording this on a Wednesday. I probably will be by the time it comes out, but, like, who knows?
Yeah.
Well, people keep saying, like, you know, when you work on a game, you want to play it a lot less. That's not true.
Agreed.
I definitely want to play the game. I do find my motivation to stream being sapped because of, like, the sort of panopticon nature of it. Like, that's definitely being sapped. But I love playing the game. This is still the best phone game I have. All the games I've played have been on my phone. I don't have a better phone game than Marvel Snap. It's that good.
All right, just want to make sure the rest of Second Dinner's listening too. You got that? Cool. All right. I think that...
Dude, I honestly think that, like, no glaze, nothing. They are not paying me for this. It's just true. It's just actually true.
No, I know. And I agree with you. I truly agree with you. I feel like and to be clear, and I know you've gone through this too, there are some moments in the game where it's a struggle to create content as a creator because you just don't want to. Sometimes that's because of the game, and sometimes that's because of just life, right? Like last week, I didn't make any content. I took a week off. It just happens. And you know what? It's healthy to let that happen. But at the same time, as a gamer, when you have something that's hit so many highs for you as this game has, when you are feeling stagnant and just kind of like low on it, you're almost sad because you want to enjoy the game. And I think right now we're in a great spot where this season introduced 3 playable cards that not just are playable individually, they're actually quite playable together, which is awesome.
Yeah. They're also just like really exciting.
Yes.
Like I realize we're veering into like glaze on glaze on glaze territory, but there's a lot of things I love about this Thanos design. And I mean a lot of them. This to me feels like a card that has the power level of Sholau without the problems with nerfing it that Sholau has, which is to say, if it is like it is a 5/8 that makes like 15 power on its on reveal, it is sick as hell. It's cool as shit. Every time you play it, it is awesome. But there's no Maverick for it. There's no Scarlet Spider for it. And I've seen people talking about this Wong stuff. And I have a decent amount of respect for Wong. But if you're playing a Thanos mirror and you play a 4/2, I am blowing that up with my Thanos. It is gone. It is not a card that exists anymore. Yep. Like I think that if the best thing this card does, if the intensifier for it is Wong, I'm chill. That's fine by me. And the fact that it doesn't work with Grandmaster or Odin or Absorbing Man, I cannot interpret that as anything but correct lessons learned from Star-Lord and Mother Ascani. I cannot interpret it as anything.
Fully agree with that.
When I play this card, this is a card that is as cool and as big as any of those cards, but it doesn't have all the bullshit. It does not have all the garbage in it that made those cards so difficult to deal with. I, as someone who talk about this game for a living, I am very often put in the position of saying this card is a little too good. Maybe they should nerf it. And I don't like doing that because these cards can get gutted. And a big part of why I talk the way I do and why I'm Captain Nice Guy every time nerfs come up, why I'm like, they need to chill out. They need to not nuke this. Don't nuke this. Don't nuke this. Don't nuke this. Is because of like the responsibility the game has to the players who make purchases. But this guy is, there are 7 different things they could change about him to take him down 3% power, and then 3% power, and then 3% power. And crucially, they can do as many of those as they want at any given time. They can dial him down as much as they want, however they want to do it. They could make him a 5/6. They could make the Power Stone give him less power, or the Space Stone give him less power, or any of this crap. All of it. They have so many knobs, and his power is about him. It's not that he's tied into all these synergy packages or whatever. There's no Maverick that's like, okay, who's the real problem? And you nerf one of them and then the other one's busted a month later. None of that. If you want to solve any problems with this guy, you can solve them on him by changing numbers on him.
Yep.
This is such a better goddamn design than any other big guy they've ever made. They cooked. I'm fairly critical at sometimes of their design choices, their OTA choices, their methodology. This cooks. This is sick. It is a great card with a lot of RNG in it that outputs a ton of really cool stuff, does a lot of strength. If I have one critique, I think it's possible too much of the power is wrapped up in that shot right there. I think maybe a little bit too much of this card's strength is in that guy.
In the soul shot?
Well, yeah. But other than that, I mean, I think this is one of their best designs. It evokes Thanos. It is a 5-drop that is exceedingly powerful without tying into things that double it. I really can't say enough good things about it. It's the Iron Patriot of 5-drops. Where, like, if they have to do something to this card, it'll still probably be good. Because they have knobs on it, and it'll just keep showing up anyway. And if it is a little too strong, that is what it is. But it is awesome. I will say this. Thanos mirrors, which is everything right now, they're quite something.
Yes.
Definitely quite something. I'll give them another knock on this design. You should be able to see what things are loaded for both you and your opponent without playing a quick drawn card. That's another knock on this design, and I think that one's probably a bigger one. Maybe that's a UX knock, not necessarily a design knock, but I should be able to like click my opponent's profile and see what shots they have loaded. Same way I can check a graveyard.
I think the solve in that is just to like mark it with a secondary token. So kind of like when you look at Magic and you see Limbo behind it. If you play the card and it fires off a card, or better, Sinister Six, like Zombie Galactus.
Right, but they're already
that's a better
using
representation.
that spot, so you have all the stones there, right? They can't use it again. Unless you want to be flipping through 10 stones. Like you see it on the screen right now.
Oh, yeah.
The 6 stones are already in that spot. So unless you want to have like the stones and then the stones that are active, which seems insanely confusing.
No. I mean, what I'm saying is like if Quicksilver comes down onto the board, you play it on turn 1 and it loads in for Thanos, the reality shot. If I click Quicksilver, I should see the reality shot behind Quicksilver.
Sure. Yeah, no, I buy that. I buy that.
If I forget what the first one is, that's on me. But if I want to look at my opponent's board and see the reality shot, the space shot, on the board and kind of re-put it back together on that final turn, I should be able to do so. Just like how, when they play the cards, it shows for your opponent, it shows the little revolver, animation. You see which one got loaded for your opponent. So you got to keep an eye on it. And I do think that over time, as we continue to play these cards, just like how it took us some time to get down each of Thanos's stones when Thanos came out, the same thing's going to happen with the Thanos Fractured Frontier shots. And we're going to realize, oh, he's got the orange one loaded. Something is going to die.
Right.
We will get there. That's a little bit of a just general beginner's curve.
Right? That is an ask, right? I don't think it's fair to glaze this card as hard as I've glazed this card and not at least point to the parts where it does fall, which is,
of course,
there's some complexity asks here. And if you're not paying attention, there's definitely going to be times where you get super blown out by this guy because you didn't pay attention to the stuff. Yep. And that's super real. That's super duper real.
But to be fair, it's the same kind of thing as like a Show Lao deck. If you haven't identified that it's a Show Lao deck early enough, and you haven't kept count of what cards came down on what turns, and you can't calculate how much power is going to get added to the Show Lao card, it's the same elements.
But that's actually a problem with Show Lao. The same way that the energy counter not being public was a problem with Star-Lord. Right? Those are problems. Even if there's precedent, it's still a problem.
You know what fixes all of this? 2 words. 1 item. Game log.
Yeah.
Fixes all of it.
While you're at it.
Yeah, one thing at a time. At least, totally. At least game log is text-based and is a lot easier comparatively. Keyword, comparatively. Not easy in general, but just comparatively. Anyway, so that is Fractured Frontier, I think, is a really simple plug and play 5-drop, right? I think we're all in pretty much agreement with that. If you need a 5-drop to play, if you
have to do some work, I think you have to play a deck that gets him to 4 stones regularly. I think if you're getting below 4 stones, you might not need him. But I think 4 stones is the breakpoint where it's like, build your deck to accommodate him being 4 stones. The worst you'll get, the worst possible 4-stone Thanos, is one of the 3 good ones. Boom, boom, discount or clone. And a vision that is 5/12 and draws a card. That's the worst 4-stone Thanos. And I think if you're... Yeah, exactly, right? The worst 4-stone Thanos is that. So if you're getting him to 4... that's a good enough card to put in whatever deck. I think that you do have to get him to 4 though. I don't think for example, I was playing Batroc and I specifically was playing an extra 1-drop, no Iska, no Hellion. You do stuff, right? He's not free. Right. This is why I like the Show Lao comp, because much like Show Lao, his deck building incentive is low curve, low maybe some ability to get things that give you other things to some degree. Scalers are important, cheap guys that help you, that are great to double, things like that. That's sort of where his incentive is. It's just play me in something like that. He's a lot like Show Lao. 5/8, low curve deck building incentive, 15 power on the on reveal probably. Like that's the guy.
To be fair, I'm going to argue that I don't think a 4-shot is necessary. I do think a 3-shot is necessary, though, because then you're favoring, because there's basically two sides to the revolver. There's the power side, I guess we'll call it, the selfish side. So it's helping him and it's helping your hand. And then you've got the other end of it, which is interacting with your opponent and the board. And when you start looking at like, okay, which combinations of shots do I want to target? Okay, this combination means this is the type of card I currently have in my hand. It's favoring power or it's favoring interactivity, right? When we start getting those rhythms down, that's where I think all of a sudden he's going to take off, is when we can say confidently, we've got the red, yellow, green. We got the stoplight combo. That means I'm doing this. I'm treating him like this. And it changes how your turn 4 and your turn 6 play go. I think that with just a little bit of time, I think it's easy to say 4 right now, just because you need the security of knowing that you're going to have at least 2 good things. But that's because it's either 2 good things or 3 good things guaranteed when you have your half and half of which half are you interacting with. Is he very heavy on the interactivity side or is he very heavy on the selfish side? I think that by the end of this month, we will gladly be tired of him because he's going to see a lot of play in the same way that we saw Iron Patriot get a lot of play, Sam Wilson get a lot of play. And
also, you're going to know.
Yeah,
you're gonna know when
right
it's
away.
A mirror, and you're gonna get annoyed. Like that's real.
You're before the cards are drawn,
you're gonna know, right? And like your knowledge, people are gonna be like, I would never be influenced by that. Yes, you will. Because when you play against any other card, you only know 75% of the time that's what the deck is. That's what the card is. You only know 75% of the Thanos. You know 100. You're gonna get annoyed with him faster for sure.
Yep, 100%. And I think. Which, sidebar, have you done the Ika opening sequence deck yet? Just once?
I've not played the opening sequence deck, nor will I play the opening sequence deck.
You got to do it. You got to do it one time just to see all 30 seconds of unnecessary game start animations, and then do like I did, because I don't play Erisham because I'm a good human, and I just retreat right away. I saw it, and then I retracted away, and I was like, okay, I feel fulfilled. I don't have to do this ever again.
You think that makes you a good human?
Yes, it does.
Like, where would you put that on the scale of like donating to charity, right? Like,
I mean,
donating to charity above or below not playing Arishem?
Nobel Peace Prize, not playing Arishem. Half of the charities are scams.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna put it like just slightly above, not playing Arishem as a willing choice. I'm gonna put it just slightly above charity because I can't justify the charity most of the time.
What about like being vegan?
I'm going to be real careful with my responses and just simply say that's a choice you get to make. That's not a same. I can't put it on that type of scale because.
Okay. All right. I don't know how careful you were. They're going to get your ass in the comments. They're going to roast you on vegan
always
Twitter or whatever.
They're going to roast me like fucking cauliflower, man.
Yeah. Yep. There it is. I think that I have one further critique here, and it is that you're using base Thanos, and I'm disappointed in you.
Why are you disappointed in me running base Thanos?
Because normally you have like one of the sick ass variants, and this month Vincenzo's are like available for gold. And I'm disappointed in you not joining me on Vincenzo Island. He's right there. Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. When I saw it, I just thought it was regular Thanos.
Yeah, he's sick as hell.
Not even gonna lie. And because I have regular Thanos at mastery.
I see. No, yeah,
that's why I did not have it.
This is the man. Vincenzo is a top 3 artist in Marvel Snap. I am such a fan. Yeah, there he is. Look at look at the colors on that hat. Like, I love the idea that his hat is made out of the same thing as his pauldrons. Like, I love the idea that he's got.
Did
like,
you really just change from using the common term of shoulder pads to official term that nobody knows what the hell you're talking about?
I was gonna say shoulder things, and then
and we would have understood you better.
I'm sure, but then I realized I knew the word pauldrons and then used that. Anyway, it is super sick that he's got like armor on his hat. It's like, yeah, shoot me in the head. Yeah. I dare you.
It's true.
Go for the head this time, bro. It just bounces off my hat. You can't do it. Yeah. It just dings right off. Yeah. Now, why do I not have armor on my bare chest? Don't ask me that, okay? Like, just stop asking. Stop asking why I have dressed like a pervert's RPG character. Don't ask me.
I mean, he's got a belt, he's got a vest, he's got a coat tail, he's got a pauldron, or whatever the hell it's called.
Skin? That's a vest? Oh my
right
God,
there.
I'm so confused.
Look, it's a vest.
Okay. I was like, what the hell? Yeah. Oh my God. I thought he was just rocking, full torso out.
No, there's another part to it there, right there.
Yeah. He's got like a little waist thinner thing going on. He's in like a he's in like, cowboy Spanx.
That is his new nickname, by the way. I'm playing Cowboy Spanx.
There's a lot of people have been messaging me nicknames for Cowboy Thanos. FF Thanos, so like Thanos with just spelled with 2 F's because it's Fractured Frontier. I've seen people calling him Thanos FF, American Thanos, Cowbanos.
Wow.
I've seen a lot of stuff, dude.
I'm gonna go with Franos.
Sure.
It rolls just as equally, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna play Franos.
I genuinely have no idea what you're talking about here. I don't know.
Fractured Frontier.
Oh, I thought you were like, well, yeah, no, I got that. I thought you were, for some reason, I thought you were like doing something more than that. I was like, surely there's a second layer here. And
yeah, there's Fran.
Yeah, I thought you were like, who are you referencing here? Like, who the fuck?
Yeah, Thanos' mom's name is Fran, by the way.
What is happening?
We're talking about his lineage here. Thanos. Actually, it's his middle name. Thanos Fran.
His mom actually is named Sui-san.
Who colloquially at the local Starbucks they couldn't spell it. Right? They would just put it down as Fran.
Yeah, it's Franny. Yeah, no, I'm very confused. Where the hell were we?
So Thanos is a really good card.
Yes, right. We were debating between 3 and 4 on the breakpoint. That's what it was.
Yeah, and I do honestly think that with just a little bit more time, I think what's probably actually going to be really curious to happen is I want to see variations of this card where we can get multiple revolver shots off. Not the Wong stuff. I'm talking about like shenanigans where he's got 3 shots, you play him on 4, you load up on 5 and 6, and then play like Grandmaster and fire him off again. Like that's the kind of stuff I want to see happen.
Have you tested that to make sure it works? Because I kind of think it. I've seen some weird stuff around his interactions. His interactions
he reloads recently. He reloads.
But I've never seen him refire.
He does refire.
Okay. The other thing that I saw is you can clone him. Like if you moon girl him, he will have the shots loaded that were loaded at the time of moon girling, but he will not load further shots. And the other weird interaction is if you quick draw a card and then merge with that quick drawn card, it loads twice. So like
on that end. Which is hysterical.
Really good.
Oh my God. Today I went into full on to Red in SP. I'm still mad at you today because I went into a full on rant on my Twitch community member today, explaining and talking about Jane, where there's a difference as to if I quick draw Jane and I play it down on Sinister London. Why does the first one do its normal quick draw and then the second one does not? Yeah. I'm sorry, could you say that louder for the people in the back?
Because you didn't draw the second one.
Thank you. I went into it's going to be a short. I know I have to edit it or get it. Yeah, because exactly. The second one wasn't drawn.
I respect that, but like, have you considered that right now you look like someone hosting a podcast on paleontology? Like you would show up in a Godzilla movie or a Jurassic Park movie, wherein like you are like you look like someone who would host a vaguely conspiracy adjacent podcast. Do you have a vape? I feel like you could use a vape for this aesthetic. Yeah.
We found a use for the saxophone outside of the sax parties.
Like, I'm sorry, I just got so distracted because like it's the combination of the glasses and the hat where you look like a guy who would be on Joe Rogan.
For other reasons, but I agree with you.
Oh.
Fine. It makes you clearly uncomfortable to not see the top of my head. Fine.
I mean, go be a paleontologist, man. That's what I wanted to be when I was in kindergarten.
And we both ended up playing video games for a living.
Honestly, not that far off.
I know. You know what? It is what it is.
I still have a kindergartner's dream job, probably.
Yes. I can confirm that as someone who has a young boy who enjoys the fact that his dad is a streamer. Hooray! I create content and I get to work with Marvel. Yay! My dad's cool. Yeah, that's at least what I think my son thinks of me, and I choose not to confirm that.
No, but you definitely can't ask him. I'm sure that's true.
No, it'll ruin my dreams. Fuck that. No. I don't question it. Thankfully, he is also a Marvel aficionado, and he really does enjoy other Marvel games as well. Like he's a huge Rivals fan and nerd, and he absolutely loves Spider-Man. We saw the movie this weekend. No spoilers. Really good, really good.
It was a good movie.
It what? Oh, you saw it too? It was
yeah.
Very, very good. Leave it at that. Shiny object, and now this is the moment where I shine back in and talk about copying of quick draw and duplicating of cards that get quick draw, because what you're talking about with Moon Girl makes sense. Where, okay, if there are 3 shots in Thanos in your hand and you Moon Girl your hand and you get 2 Thani, then sure, the first one goes down and the second one that gets copied has 3 shots in it.
Yeah, but and if you play a quick drawn card, the one that's copied is not the one that gave you the effect. Yeah.
Right. Because the first one went through the game start mechanic, which has associated to it the full, hey, your Thanos loads again mechanic into it. But the second one is a copy who didn't go through the quick draw game start mechanic. So quick draw effect doesn't affect it. Makes total sense.
Also,
but if you go ahead.
If you play it and like Nico it, right? If you copy it with something like a Nico that's like a triggered thing, because of the way on reveals work, Thanos will have expended his loads and will not come back to your hand loads intact.
That's the name of the podcast. Thanos expended his loads.
I've been really eating out on that joke recently. Really getting a lot of mileage.
As you well should.
Mm-hmm.
The idea, but for real though, I do think that there's going to end up being some combo version of Thanos that really is able to truly lean in further to getting more than 6 shots off. What that is, I don't know. But I want to see it happen. I want to see people cook. I want to see, and I'm pretty sure it's going to end up needing to be a Grandmaster mechanic, because I think it's the only thing that'll truly do that. So I'm cool with that, to make that to see that happen. I think it's a mechanic that'd work. I just want to see it like break some absolute chaos, because it is a card that I think is worthy of breaking chaos.
I think that when you build around Thanos, in as much as you're going to do it, you're building around mostly the redstone. And I think that his things are powerful, but also marginal. And so that doing them a bunch is not actually all that good. Like, that's one of the interesting things about the Wong thing is like, yeah, it's awesome to Wong him because the way the shots order, what happens is you get a reality shot as the second one that goes off. So you get a second Wong before the green shot goes off, and then you just get a bunch of discounts in your hand. Which is dope. That's sick as hell. It's like awesome. I don't know if that's how it's supposed to work, but that is how it does work. Yeah. And that's cool. That's great. That's awesome. That's sick, right? Here's the thing. That's not actually like for a card that has 2 Wongs on it, you're kind of not getting a lot. It's like a big guy. It's the hand discount that's really doing it for you there, right? Like you get your red stone, you get your green stone, and then you're probably gonna win the game because you played like a Sarah that has 20 power, right? I fully buy that, but it's kind of a lot of setup to go through, and I do feel like a lot of these stones they did a pretty good job. Like I really can't say this enough. It's kind of not that good to copy them. Like some of them are pretty good to copy. Some of them are pretty horrible. You do not want Yellowstone and Greenstone on turn 6. Trash. You don't want it. So for me, I think when you think about what building around Thanos looks like, it mostly looks like Wong and like playing things that are really big to copy with the reality shot. Those are really the 2 avenues I see. And then every other Thanos deck, and like every other Thanos deck is just going to be like, it's in my Batroc deck. That's what I was doing. My theory was if this card is in my Batroc deck, it's probably a little too strong. It's in my Batroc deck, it's probably a little too strong. It's kind of like if Thing First Steps in Vision had a baby. Pretty great. Great card. It's like that, but better a decent amount of the time. It's like, okay, yeah, that's very clearly a card that goes in my Batroc deck. I don't care what I have to do to make it work. I'll cut whatever I gotta. And outside of that, though, like that deck doesn't use Reality Shot very well. Doesn't really have a lot of things you want to hit with it. It's okay at doing Time Shot, but really he's just like, a big guy that blows up a guy. That's pretty good. Big guy, blows up a guy, vision, gets discount my hand. That's awesome, right? It's great. But I'm not doing anything special with him. And if you are doing something special with him, it involves the redstone. That's the one you build around. Whether that be the Wong stuff or the versions that are just going to be like, I'm going to play the biggest possible 4. The Alex Kocha deck. Yeah. Where like the whole point is you have Wiccan and Karen Page, and then you play Thanos and he makes another one. That's the point. And it's like just anything that is leaning into that is like building around the redstone in a real way. Heart of the Cards is doing one where like the thing that deck's doing is just like you play a Kraglin and it's a 3/9, and then you duplicate the Kraglin, it's a 13 power guy. It's like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good thing to do. Right? Like just stuff like that. That's where I feel like the rest of his ceiling is. He's like a deceptively simple card. He doesn't actually do a lot much more than he says on the can. He does what he says, and he doesn't actually like. There's not like a lot of hidden. There's not depth to this card really, except in the red shot. That's where the depth is in terms of deck building. So I see people saying things like, "Well, Sholau decks early weren't very good." There's a lot more depth to a Sholau.
Hysterically, as we're saying all this and talking about all this, now you've got me really thinking deeper into what some of these synergies can be and curious about how the mechanics work. For example, Thanos and Symbiote Spider-Man. That's something I want to test.
It doesn't work. I'll tell you that right now.
It doesn't fire off the on reveal. Because
the on reveal is empty of the chamber is empty when you activate the guy.
Symbiote on 4, Thanos on 5. Whatever card I play has another shot, loads that Thanos again, activate the Symbiote Spider-Man, shoots off.
I don't think that's good for what it's worth. I haven't tested it because I don't think that's good. So there you go.
I don't know. I don't think it's good, but it's interesting to think about a 19 power movable card also. Not a bad thing either. So got to figure it out.
Because it'd be turn 6 when you're doing it. You know what I mean?
No, it could just be a 19 power movable card on turn 6 where you just do it as 4/5 and you're just reinforcing it it's got movable on it. You Symbiote Spider-Man, now you just have a 19 power movable card. And you just do whatever else you want on turn 6.
Like, okay, like, this is the worst Black Panther deck of all time, bro. Like, you are describing the worst Black Panther that has ever existed. You have
cool
rediscovered Black Panther from first principles, but instead of making 70 power across 2 lanes, what you're doing is getting an extra shot off of Thanos.
No. I'm saying as an alternate line. There's when you activate. There's choosing to activate at the end of turn 5, and then there's choosing to activate in the middle of turn 6. 2 different plays.
So
end of turn 5 is a movable.
Thanos becomes movable. You move him to the lane with the symbiote in it. Then activate the symbiote after playing. Okay, so what you're saying is, what you're talking about the 19 power movable, you're saying activate him without firing.
You're confusing the 2 lines. So here's what I think. There's 2 ways. No, there's 2 lines that you can do with Symbiote Spider-Man.
There's 2 lines. It's just like the way you refer to it is like the holy 2 lines. All right, you don't get it. Okay, you don't understand the 2 lines.
You're confusing them.
You don't get the 2 lines.
Because for once, I understand the mechanics of how this shit works. All right, so bear with me.
You don't understand the 2 lines, bro.
If you play Symbiote Spider-Man on 4 somewhere, on the same lane on turn 5, you play Thanos Fractured Frontier.
Yes.
You let it do its thing, it gets movable. On that same turn, on turn 5, you activate the Symbiote Spider-Man, it absorbs the Thanos, which has movable, which means the Symbiote Spider-Man now is a 19 power Symbiote Spider-Man with movable. You get to choose where that goes on turn 6.
Yep.
Where do you want that to land? Just like how you have him proc right now on turn 5, but it's a 12 power card.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's a lot more fun when it's 19 because it's really a lane winner at that point.
I've detected a problem with your line. I'm sorry.
Go for it. No, tell me. I'm thinking about it live right here.
The Redstone's going to make a second symbiote, so you won't absorb the Thanos.
If it does have if it has the red loaded, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. No, definitely true.
Yeah. It's sort of like saying, like, you know, you can play Forge to make Thanos have 3 more power. Or like, yeah, I know I can play Symbiote Spider-Man to give 7 power to my Thanos. 2 more power. Whatever, man. I don't understand the lines, okay? We've established this. I don't understand the line.
All right. Well, either way, it got me thinking about that. And I was like, okay, maybe there's something else we can capitalize on this. And it makes me like,
no, that's as I'm clicking. I mean when I talk about it, though, right? Like, it's like all these things that you'd be like, oh, let's go try this. None of them really work. It's why I'm talking about him as shallow. What you see is what you get out of this guy. He's going to do what he says on the tin. And what he says on the tin is, I do a bunch of bullshit and you can't duplicate me. Outside of Wong, that's just how the card works.
Similarly, I'm surprised we, aren't looking at something like, what about Fenris Wolf? You know, you always have a guaranteed resurrection. It doesn't matter what the card is. It's now extra power.
Spurious use of the word guaranteed there. Really, really spurious use of the word guaranteed. I missed 2-cost Fenris Wolf so badly.
I do too.
That was the last thing holding together tech piles, which I understand probably a good reason to nerf it, right? Like, but I do miss, like, here's my Killmonger Shang-Chi Fenris deck. What up, though? I miss it a little bit, yeah.
That's fair. I don't know. But my point in those statements is we should really be looking into outside of like what we'll call the plane effects, right? Power shot. Okay, sure, whatever. There's not too much that's going to come from that empowerment. It's like, okay, you have a Venus down. Great. Okay, we did what we did. Good. Moving on. Like, I want to see what else we can do that really leans into each individual shot that we build into, kind of like how when we talk about Jane Foster, where the new Jane Foster, do you want to put it in affliction? Yes and no, because it kind of helps, but it really isn't enough because you'd rather do targeted affliction rather than random affliction.
Yeah, your other cards are just so bad that I am playing Jane, but I do think I'm probably going to replace her with Hellcow whenever that card comes out.
Yeah, 20 something, but like, it is is probably worth a detour since you're bringing up the Series 4 cards. And we've talked Thanos, I think, probably to death, where overall, yeah, he's at least a 4-star card out of 5. Safe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Before I talk about Psylocke, I do want to switch over for a half a second because I took some time to mess around with Doc Ock, new Doc Ock. And I gotta say, I was pleasantly surprised with some of the lines that I could produce with this card. I had some time while I was just right before the podcast, maybe for about 45 minutes. And I was just on my phone, just trying a couple. I had an idea. I was like, let's see if this works. The idea of putting the leftmost card from your hand back on top of the deck, get a random card, and then give both of those cards +3 power. It's a little bit Agent 13. It's a little bit Lockjaw-ish, sort of. Like you understand what I'm saying, though. Like, if you get both cards down, sure, you're getting 2/8 value out. But that's not what matters, because I started seeing some real surprise synergies when I was looking at, like, oh, how this plays out with Surge is really good. How this plays out with buff cards is really good. And I threw it into one of your favorite decks, and it was surprisingly good. And I call the deck Mother Who, because it honestly works in Captain Carter combo. Legitimately works.
I believe
and
you.
I think
what is surprising to me is the Storm. That is surprising to me.
Yeah, I left the Storm Horse Famine in because, look, unless if you have the God line in the beginning of Spider-Man on 1 or you're going Surge on 2, it's worth it to wait. It really is, because also the way that Surge works with Doc Ock and the draws of those cards, that you're getting the reduction and the buff at the same time for the card that you've drawn that you've intentionally put back into your deck because you've played the Surge card. Like when Surge hits Doc Ock and you get that mechanic to just cycle onto, the power just scales incredibly fast.
No, I'm definitely not surprised that Captain Carter combo feels good.
Yeah, it felt really good.
By that at all. I think it is a very underrated deck right now, whose biggest problem is largely Thanos is really good against that if it gets the stone that goes boom.
If you get the stone that goes boom, you should be knowing exactly where that boom is probably coming anyway. It's got to put down.
But like, it's definitely like one of those decks where it's like, all right, if I do not, like, part of me is thinking what you actually want to do here, and I know this is going to sound blasphemous, is replace Storm with Sam Wilson so you can block the boom.
You could block a boom that way. I don't think it's necessary, though, because if it what's it going to kill? A used Grandmaster, a 1/2 Spider-Man, or a 3/1 Storm Horseman of Famine?
Well, I'm thinking
you're not feeling too bad.
Carter. I'm thinking your Captain Carter. Whenever you're doing your Hope Summers lines, I'm thinking it's going to kill your Captain Carter. That's what I'm worried about.
Potentially.
Every time you have a Hope Summers line, it's going to put your Captain Carter in the trash. And I do not want my Captain Carter to go in the trash. That's pretty much the extent of what I'm thinking about. Is like,
yeah,
there's really only 2 3s that are going to protect this card. And it is Storm, who's going to protect it. And like, something has gone very wrong if we're ever using the other 3 that's going to protect it. So like, you know,
I mean, Surge protecting it is not.
Surge can do it.
Not the worst thing in the world to go Surge Captain in a lane. Keeps it in the front line.
That's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. But I'm definitely concerned because it does seem like a decent amount of the time you're going to be on Hope Summers lines and you're going to play Hope Summers into Captain Carter. And boy, that's going to feel bad.
Give it some tweaking, give it some playline tweaking. But I do think that as I was playing the new Doc Ock, I was pleasantly surprised with the combination of card generation, bonus power on there. Like one of the first 2 or granted, it was luck, and I know that obviously because of the 400 whatever cards it is that are in the game. But when you get a 5/3 Iron Man in your hand, yeah, you feel pretty good about that. That feels great.
Gun to your head right now. Mm-hmm. I'm holding a gun to your head.
Oh no, Thanos! What?
Yeah. It's a gun. It's got 6 Infinity Stones in it. I'm wearing a cowboy hat. I have glasses on. I might be on the Joe Rogan Experience. You don't know that.
Right.
Doctor Octopus is the blank best card in this deck. Give me a number.
Blank best card in this deck.
10th, first. Fifth?
I'm probably gonna go. Probably 11th.
What would you say is behind it?
Surge.
Interesting. Okay. I would imagine I'd be happier with Surge most of the time. But
I don't play Surge in this deck without Doc Ock. That's why.
Interesting.
I wouldn't put Surge into Captain Carter combo, current Captain Carter combo, without the Doc Ock because of how the Doc Ock mechanic works with it. And if you don't get it, okay, then you just do normal Storm shenanigans and you got cheap options at the end. That can work just as equally. Yeah, I'd probably say 11th. I'm trying to think if like there's a 12th, if there's a 10th replacement, but it's borderline on like a couple of them. And I'm like, I can't justify really like the Storm. I can't justify it. The Spider-Man, I can't justify it. Like, cause I cut Agony to put in Surge and that felt good. As I got those cycles going, the deck did feel good. So just something I wanted to showcase briefly before we start talking about Psylocke. Because Psylocke, you are actually lower on Psylocke than I am. Because you don't think that she's as good as Jane. Talk to me about why.
I like her. I can see her being second Luna Snow, and that's an amazing thing to be. I am a big fan of a card that is second Luna Snow. I do think she's like mostly worse. I think most decks that want to play this card would play Luna Snow before they want to play this card. But it's not to say that she's bad, but that there is something very clearly that is some amount better than her at the things that the decks that want to play this are doing. I think she's been really useful for me in Scorpion decks, and that's awesome. And I've seen her in a bunch of just like random things. But honestly, I think the real thing pushing against her is that a lot of the time, Thanos is doing her quick draw. And there's a lot of Thanos running around, and it makes her feel not worth it.
I can respect that part right now, especially. I think for me, the allure of the card is right now we want it to be good in a lot of things, and we aren't leaning into the like shut up, sit down, these are the three homes for it, and that's it, what it is, right? In my opinion, this is not a Thanos card. It works in a Thanos, the Fractured Frontier deck, but it's not, because you don't want to expedite that thing faster most of the time. If you're doing the super rolling combo stuff that I wanted to test, yeah, sure, go for it. But technically, you really don't. Because you want the baseline as the baseline. You want the baseline all the time. And you should be having this in your deck with the baseline in mind and the quick draw being bonus, rather than the quick draw being the lean in condition to get to justify the value of the card. That's where I feel Jane Foster is different than Psylocke. Because Jane Foster, you have to justify the value of getting that quick draw to happen twice, because otherwise it just kind of feels a little bit to me, versus this one where if it's in a deck that is clearly going to benefit from this every time it gets played because of the way that the deck is constructed, this has more value than a Luna because it's benefiting you and not your opponent exclusively. Just like, you know, you don't want to play Wave. You don't want your opponent to have the reduction. Great. So what's the way to do that? You got to get lucky with playing a Psylocke or a Gen on 2, or you got to deal with the bad side of Electro on 3. This is probably better in a lot of those scenarios. Like, I felt incredibly good with this card in Khonshu Discard. It was fantastic. because I'm playing Modocs on 4 and I've got Conchus and big Apox going on 5 and 6 consistently because of this card. Like, it actually really helps. I was playing it in Zombies.
Awesome. Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah. Like those are what I'm talking about though, is those are the kinds of decks that this really wants more. And when you lean further into that, you justify its value.
Right.
Because right now
I don't
we're
disagree.
Yeah.
Like, I think you're saying this as if I'm operating under the opposite assumption, which I'm not. I'm operating under the same assumption. I just think it's a little bit worse. Like, we both agree that what you build around when you build a deck with this card is the on reveal and not the quick draw. The quick draw is a bonus. It comes with it.
Yeah. Agreed.
There's no argument to be had between us about that.
About that element.
And, like,
yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, this whole framing of, like, it is about, like, I think you're thinking about it wrong. We're thinking about it the same way. I just think the card's a little bit worse than you do. Like, we both agree on how it's being used.
But give the context of worse, though, because your explanation of worse feels like it's just worse overall versus the top ceiling of refine the number of decks and where it shines best. And like, you wouldn't put Colleen Wing in a points package. You know what I mean? As a 2/4.
I do think that there's room for nuance in conversations about worse and better.
Right.
And that if you want to express a certain thing, that's a reasonable thing to do. But I think that if people ask me which of these is a better card, my answer would be Jane Foster. And there are various reasons for that, but I mostly think that the answer is related to two things. The first is you're probably going to be able to play Jane Foster more. She's a little less specific, and maybe that's not fair, but maybe it is. The second, because you have to take into account Marvel Snap's economy. The second is Psylocke is a very clear number 2 to Luna Snow. Most decks that I would want to play Psylocke and I would want to play Luna Snow in, that discard one that you talked about, kind of the first one that I think that isn't true. But honestly, the more you think about it, the more you think Luna Snow could be pretty good there if Psylocke is, huh? The third thing is I think that this card is doing something that has been devalued. What this card is good at is getting a 6 out on 5 and a 5 out on 4. That's cool. There's no arguments that that is not necessarily a good thing. But I would argue it's not a good thing without a specific plan for that 6 on 5 or that 5 on 4. And so when you tell me something like, I'm doing it to play MODOK and Khonshu, sure, makes perfect sense. Yeah, totally. I don't think that deck's very good, but yeah, I totally understand it. Or I'm using it to get a Scorpion down so I can play, so I can copy the Scorpion a bunch of times with the Ancient One. Totally. Makes perfect sense. That's a deck that really wants to have a 6 on 5. There aren't a lot of decks that I think have a 6 they need on 5 that much. So her potential is limited to a very specific use case. And she's probably the second best card in that very specific niche. So to me that definitely makes her read as worse. There will probably be decks you cannot play without her. I fully believe that. And there will definitely be decks where Jane Foster is more replaceable than Psylocke is in those decks. I fully believe that too. But to me, the two cards I've just described, I do think one of them is better than the other, even though it does require a little bit of comparing apples to oranges. That's what they pay us to do. And so, like, accepting that they don't pay us. Guys,
don't listen. No. They don't pay us. They don't pay us to talk about the cards. Second Dinner does not pay us to talk about this cards. This podcast.
Dude, I meant the viewers.
Okay. Sorry, we didn't put the whole KMBest caveat in the beginning of the podcast that these are your views and not reflective, and 3 minutes later, here we go.
The worst thing about doing that is, like, people in the comments have started treating it like a joke, where it's like, oh, thanks, KM. I'm glad your views reflect the views of Second Dinner.
Yay, engagement.
No, it's not yay engagement. It's like, dude, even if you're joking legally, it doesn't look like you're joking. Stop. Like, Every time I get one of those comments, I'd have to respond "stop" or "not true" or whatever. It's like their engagement baiting
Response
me
engagement,
really
it works. I see your strategy.
Me. It's not the other way around. And anyway, back on the concept. It's like we are on some level like asked to do something that's a little unfair, right?
Yes.
You understand a lot of contextual stuff. It's not necessarily fair to say, this apple is better than this orange, but it's our job to be like, damn, that's a good apple, not a great orange. It's our job to say, like, if I had to choose one, I would choose this apple instead. Understanding that that's what we're doing, I think that just sort of baked in. Like, to me, I don't think I acknowledge the unfairness of it, but that is the gig. It's my job to say, I think this card is better than this card, even though here's a bunch of context in which the other card could be better. We are not in a world where that context is currently being rewarded. Give me 3 weeks for that Hell Cow card to come out, and I'll be banging some Scorpion, dude. It'll be great. Just ripping Scorpions with Psylocke Fractured Frontier. It'll be sick.
So what we've basically learned, kids, is that KM's definition of better is broad use case, and my definition of better.
I'm glad you reduced it to that. That's not what I was trying to say in any meaningful way.
Let me finish the fucking sentence. Is broad use case on a variety of decks, and mine is individual ceiling on the decks in where its best homes are.
You are incorrect about what I'm saying. You are incorrect. You are wrong, and it's actually annoying me.
Am I wrong?
I'm actually mad. Yes, you are mad.
No, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to those who are commenting right now. Am I wrong? That's not what he just said.
That is one of many factors. That is not the only factor. But it is undeniable that it is a part of these cards' profile. And to ignore it would be a mistake. But that is not the only factor that makes me say that. It is not just, Jane Foster has a broader use case than Psylocke, so she's a better card. The economy dictates that I have to talk about it. The way the economy is in Marvel Snap, people have to think about how often they're going to play a card. And when we do this stuff, it's because people are asking whether or not they want to buy a card. That's what the point of it is. And so to just chalk it up to be like, KM thinks it's about broad use case, I'm responding to incentives. If everyone got these cards for free, I'd feel a bit of a different way. Like, I do not think the only difference between these cards is one has a broad use case and one does not. I think Jane Foster is probably a stronger card, even in context. Why are you looking at the goddamn camera? I'm going to quit this podcast.
Because I'm waiting for you to recognize that statement was the exact equivalent in verbal to you reading in a comment, thanks for your reflection of Marvel Snap and your opinions are of Marvel Snap. Where you then have to respond, stop. Me saying that is the exact...
Dude, if I can't trust that you're actually going to say your opinions on this podcast, what's the point?
Because it is still my opinion. I just know how to frame it in a way that makes you slightly redder.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Here's what I legitimately take.
Here on the Joe Rogan Experience.
Wait, we're not there yet. Hold on. There we go.
Dedication.
There we go.
We have a vast dedication to the we really care about discourse, right? We really care about the quality of discourse and just getting rage baited constantly. I don't know. Is that good for the viewers? It probably is. They probably enjoy seeing me get rage baited. But all I'm saying is, God damn it, I listed out 3 things, and then you were like, the first thing.
Yep.
What KM thinks, it's the first thing. Why do I even do it? No, I mean, I think that is a part of it. But I also think that Psylocke in her context is a good, not great card. Like, that's honestly what it's felt like playing with her. It's like she's fine. She like does role player shit, but she's not great. Like, even in her context, it's felt like she's a little bit worse than I thought she was going to be. Because, like I said, when I started playing this card, I expected more. To be honest, I was like, this is going to be a good card. This is going to be good as fuck. She kind of let me down. I'm not going to lie to you. It was just like, oh man, this is not nearly as good as I thought it was going to be. And I really need a specific use case for this to make sense. That specific use case is not that common. And in that specific use case, she's like the second best thing to be doing.
So to bring you off of the ledge, then no,
I swear to God.
To bring you off the ledge, then I'll give the actual response to your assessment on it. Okay. And my interpretation of your assessment and how I do look at it differently than you do in this, because I do think that a part of it is also, I'm looking at it through the lens of, I see Psylocke and I put it into a, let's call it a C tier deck, right? Discard. Just general right now, I'd say good C tier, sometimes C plus tier deck. And I see what it does for that deck. And I see that deck, in my opinion, because of that card, it could go from a C to a B, because it can actually get a lot more to happen because you're getting those cards out earlier. And you're not benefiting your opponent because you're not doing Luna Snow stuff. And right now, because of Thanos' Fractured Frontier specifically, Luna Snow really can make some benefit happen for your opponent, not because you're getting the Thanos out earlier, but because you could do other things in addition to it. Right. So I'm kind of like, well, I don't want to give my opponent the extra energy. I don't want to do that. I want to have a game plan that is focused on, let me do the reductions where I want them. So I see that deck and I see the improvement it makes to that deck and doesn't benefit my opponent simultaneously. And I think it's a reasonable improvement. But I know you don't play that deck because that's not your ELO.
Would you believe I have actually played Apocalypse Discard in the last month?
Because you like Apocalypse. That's a pet deck.
And
that's different.
That is true.
That is a pet deck of yours.
I do like Apocalypse.
You are a big fan of Apocalypse, and that card in particular, just like you're a fan of Anti-Venom. You want to play those decks because you enjoy those decks. That's different than the I need to climb rank decks. And more often than not, you're playing those decks. The Apocalypse and Anti-Venom are your palette cleansers.
Yep. I will say this. I think that for you, the thing you're indexing for with Psylocke is she makes play lines possible that weren't previously possible. And that is exciting, and it feels big, and it's a thing that she definitely does do. And Jane Foster, by comparison, is more boring. She's not doing anything special. She's not making anything happen that wasn't already happening. Mm-hmm. She's just there and fine, right? And I think it's reasonable for someone who's like played as much of this game as you to be like, I think Psylocke is better because she's letting you do more. I just think that the card stacked up in their different roles, like,
but what's Jane's role?
Stats lady. Be good.
Just
gladiator.
General stats.
That's her role. Yeah, her role is gladiator. Her role is gladiator, and then sometimes quasi synergy with like afflict and buff decks. I don't really think she does anything other than that. But like if you're playing a card like Gladiator or Kraglin or whatever in whatever deck you're playing, Jane is better than those cards.
See, I think that's part of the mixture of assessments with Jane as we kind of circle back to her for a second. Because when you say those quasi pieces for Jane and you're like, hey, this has a little bit of a benefit for Jane specifically in Afflict, and it has a little bit of a benefit here for buff decks. You're never playing Jane in those decks because it's inconsistent.
Oh, I am playing Jane in those decks. Like physically, I am currently playing Jane in my Afflict deck. I'm going to cut her for Hell Cow. But I genuinely like the thing about that deck is like, yeah, okay, it sucks that it's inconsistent. I just want a card that is good and also does some afflicts. Do you have any idea how hard it is to play 3 drops and below for your entire deck so your Blink gets your Scorpion, or sometimes Thanos Fractured Frontier? I haven't actually decided if I like him in the deck or not. He goes in and out. But do you have any idea how hard it is to actually have cards that are not dog ass and also afflict stuff sometimes? It is so hard. It is so incredibly hard. I also play Psylocke here for the record. But
you're building move bounce with Iron Man.
I don't know that I'm building move bounce with Iron Man.
Well, sorry, no, not move bounce. I said move bounce. You're building bounce with Iron Man.
I think more I'm building when I played the deck before these cards came out. My big takeaway was I was 2 3-cost Laufeys away from having a deck that didn't need to combo all the time. That was my big takeaway.
Okay.
If I have 2 3-cost Laufeys, and they don't have to be like literally as good as Laufey, just like, here's my Laufey or Man thing that costs 3 and does like an afflict on this whole lane. Just a volume of afflict. That's what I cared about, right?
Right.
I would, and they were, and this is also crucial, and they were good stats cards. I'd be able to win mid-range games. That's what I felt like I needed. Jane Foster is as close as I can get. And I fully admit she is super mid at this role. But that deck needs that role so bad. Like, it needs it so damn bad.
Yeah, for example, the comparison of Lady Bullseye and Afflict. People, you have to over-index to get a similar idea. And it doesn't give you the end game you're looking for if you haven't over-indexed enough, as weird as that feels.
I will play the shit out of a 3/8 that also sometimes has synergy with my Scorpion. If it's a 3/12, so much the better.
Oh yeah, I mean that's almost always the case.
It's just one of those things where it's like the other options I had in this space. This is an insane sentence, but I do think it is true. In that deck, Psylocke, that's one of Psylocke's best decks, is the Scorpion combo deck, because it loves not being a magic deck. If you are able to have Psylocke and Luna Snow to discount the Scorpion if it's in your hand, or to get it out on turn 5, that's a huge, huge deal. Jane Foster is actually just as good because she is just a good card. Because when you are not comboing with that deck, when you are playing a fair game of Marvel Snap, when you are playing a game of Marvel Snap where you'll 10s and 20s in lanes, the card is just good. And having a card that is sort of like a floor raiser in that way actually felt legitimately meaningful. And to be clear, I'm definitely going to cut her ass for Hell Cow. That's definitely going to happen.
Yeah.
Because that's like this card, but better for that deck. But it is notable to me that I didn't expect her to have synergy here, and she kind of doesn't, but there's so little else in her space. Where with Psylocke, and this is kind of what I was getting at earlier, 80% of Psylocke decks, I want to play Luna Snow instead of her. When I have the choice. 80% of the time. Because if I don't have the 5 and 6 in hand, the Luna Snow is going to be better. I'm going to need to draw those cards and play them.
Yeah.
And so this is part of why I'm a little higher on Jane than most. It's because I've played some Jane Psylocke decks. And even in decks that are built for Psylocke, I was like, damn, this Jane card's kind of nice with it. Damn, she's really doing some work. And again, it was definitely a deck that needed both of those roles filled. And Jane's not great at filling it. But I can definitely see that kind of stuff getting somewhere. I definitely can.
So you got me thinking on this. And one of the things that I realized that I kind of started to build for with this similarly, but then as you're talking about, realized there's just probably a secondary approach I can take for the same effect. When you talk about focusing on it as Afflict, the big thing that you're simultaneously needing to focus on is, like you said, the 3-card Laufey, which is what got me thinking. Why do I need this to be a 3-card Laufey, and in what reasons and in what conditions? And the reason should be that Jane Foster should never hit the board when you're doing an Afflict combo thing if there's more than 2 of your own other cards on the board, because you're looking for 3 Afflicts to get real Afflict synergy, volume, and stuff like that.
I'd go not necessarily the other way. I would go further. I would say when you're doing the Afflict combo thing, you just don't need her. But you need her when you're not. If you're copying 3 Scorpions, nobody cares about what Jane Foster is doing. If you're doing your nut draw where you have the ancient one into final turn Tau Mandala Hazmat, you don't need Jane Foster. But you need her when you don't. You need her when you don't, and your final turn is just playing a Scorpion. Well, when your final turn is just playing a Scorpion, all of your procs matter a lot more.
Right. And that's why...
And so any you can get is so good. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be 3. Any of them are so good.
Well, that's why I'm sitting on it and I'm going, how can I make this work? And one of the things that I did, one of the decks that I tested with this was I was doing like Goblin Annie shenanigans, right? I was doing Daredevil. Sure. I was doing all that kind of stuff with the idea of I'm putting stuff on my opponent's side of the board. I'm going to afflict it, and it's going to be the lowest stuff there. And it's going to allow me to also potentially Galactus it sometimes. And it's enough of a threat that it wins cubes. And I thought I had the right idea. But as you're talking about it, I realized that I missed a very key approach with this card. And that I really think specifically because we're in a Scorpion Brand New Day awareness meta, I legitimately am going to try and test synergies with Jane Foster and Yelena for 2 reasons. Hear me out.
So you can get more things on the board. No, I get it. I get it.
No. There's 2 elements of that. It's not just get more things on the board because I'm putting a Widow's Bite on the other side and I have a single buff for myself. That's great. Woohoo. But more importantly, I'm showing further risk of that negative piece out there. You're going to, if I'm the opponent and I see that much negativity, affliction, and I see, oh man, I really got to fix that ASAP. I'm going to focus a bunch of my cards into that lane to get that thing out of there because I see what you're doing, right? If I'm the opponent, I'm leaning into the idea of, oh, you're playing afflict. I better get rid of this piece because I will lose that lane if I don't. But you make the opponent over-index the wrong way. And yeah, you're going to win that lane. Congratulations. But you lost the other 2 in trying to do so. And building a deck with that strategy may legitimately hold some water. And I'm curious about it.
I'm with you as far as like putting bodies on your opponent's side of the board is probably pretty good with Jane Foster. Just anything that does multiple bodies and doesn't clog you is probably pretty good. But I would suggest you probably play armor in the deck you're contemplating right now.
Yes. No, 100%. I agree.
That you probably
no, 100% agree. No, like I said, I haven't cooked. I'm not going to put the deck that I have on the screen here as like that deck and just call it as is and take out one and put in the other. I was cooking with the idea of let me put things on my opponent's side of the board and I can have Jane Foster slightly help me or hurt them. Either way, it's a good scenario. But I know where those cards are because I put some of them there and I can make it even worse by getting the affliction to happen. And I have the Galactus and it's enough to win. And I will say confidently, this didn't work. It's just not strong enough. There's not enough counterplay in this deck as it was. So that's what I meant earlier when I was saying I tried something that had a similar goal. But I think I went about it the wrong way, which is I should be capitalizing on the fact that we live in a Scorpion Brand New Day world. People are aware of it. They see the lines coming and it forces over indexing.
I don't really think that it will, but I'm interested to hear the results of this experiment.
Me too. I'm just as curious. Like this will be the cook that I kind of work into at some point, because I do think that Jane is I marked her as meh, like just not good, not great, not bad. Just she doesn't have a home and she's meh in all of them. But she's copycat, as we diagnosed earlier. Yeah, like she's,
I am just a little higher on the idea of a copycat that actually does something my deck wants sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's compelling enough to me, right? Like I do think she's copycat. It's like, oh yeah, it's my 3/8. That's what she is, the 3/8, 3/12. If I get to free roll a couple of things that actually matter, you can win a game of Marvel Snap with 3/12s, dude. Like you can do that.
Yeah. That's
you can
fair.
win a game of Marvel Snap. You don't need the synergy to be there 100% of the time. You can win a game, but just by doing things. And I think that, like, to me, the big thing with the Scorpion decks has always been, can we get one of these that can do both? Can there be a Scorpion deck that can play the mid-range game and also play the combo game? Mm-hmm. Switch that based on their draws and the context of the game. And that's when I think the deck is going to be good. I felt like Jane Foster did a lot to help that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because she is just a good stats mid-range card that helps my game plan. She is that 3-cost Laufey. Is it a good 3-cost Laufey? No. Like, no, there's no such thing. There's no world in which we get, 3/3 Laufey effect. God, I wish there was. But that is not a card they're going to make. And so we make do with Jane Foster and we make do with Hell Cow. And that's sort of where my head is at for like the great green hope in my heart of Scorpion Brand New Day actually being something good instead of just being this like new living tribunal. Because I think there's really unique potential with him that I'm a truther. What can I say? I'm a Scorpion Brand New Day truther.
There's nothing wrong with that because I very high on the card as well. Remove selfish interest. I do believe that it is a legitimate card. I think it made more of a splash, like a legitimacy splash long term than Sinister Six, because we didn't talk about Sinister Six last week. But I mean, granted, probably one of the cooler cards that came out in the last couple of months. Like, just I really enjoyed Sinister Six. I thought the animation is fantastic. The whole concept of it is fantastic. I'm a huge fan of what that card does for the gameplay experience. It is difficult to win with because you really win one lane, like really win it. And then what's the rest? That's what you're constantly trying to decipher with that deck. And it was good. But if I had to choose between playing a Sinister Six deck to climb or a Scorpion Brand New Day deck to climb, I'm taking Scorpion every time.
I agree.
You've got me thinking back on the Scorpion deck, though, of like, if we're playing Jane, how many different play lines do you need to make that work? Because we've talked about Scorpion where you need it to have scaling in one of two ways, either super tall or super vertical in some way, by either stacking the number of effects or by having a big afflict, like a -7 happen that you turn into -14, right? It's got to be one of the two. But I think you're always going to be more flexible by thinking about the widespread afflicts, like the hazmat build, but then have the ancient one stuff on top. I just think that's a better way to play it. And how do you capitalize on that with Jane? Because the thing I was always constantly running into issues with deck building with the card was there's just a godly amount of 3-cost cards that I want to play with Scorpion Brand New Day. And I can never figure out what the right balance is.
Yeah, I think right now Luna is 1A. The ancient one goes in there. Mm-hmm. Psylocke is Luna 2, and then I have Jade. Those are the 4 that I'm running at the 3-cost slot.
Because I'm looking at like the afflict line.
Oh, and hazmat, but she doesn't really count.
Well, but that's my point though, is that she absolutely does. Like tremendously, because you can justify a variety of other 3 drops in that afflict space. Like I was in my version, I was running Red Guardian, which was like my only, I think, interaction piece that I had. I wasn't running Cosmo or anything else. Just it gave me the affliction and stopped all the other bullshit happening in that lane because it hit their Luke Cage or their whatever.
Yeah, right? I get it when people are playing Luke Cage. Red Guardian makes sense. I'll say this: I cut Red Guardian and I cut Luke Cage. I'm just doing stuff, and then Scorpion is going to make it matter more to them than me, because the whole deck is like Blink Scorpion, right? Mm-hmm. So you get to run a lot of 3s because your top end is 2 cards, right? So it just goes straight from 3, 5, 6. Sometimes there's a Thanos in there, like I said, right? And you get to run a lot of 3s, you get to run a lot of 2s. You really don't want to run a lot of 1s. So the entire deck is kind of 2s and 3s. So it's very much sort of a deck that if you looked at it in the abstract, you'd be like, damn, this Sarah Surfer deck looks fucking weird. It
does. No, but it does though. That's exactly my point.
It looks like that, yeah.
It reads like it wants to be a Surfer deck because it just sees 3 after 3 after 3 after 3. And then you're just like, no, don't play Surfer. How dare you? That's not the goal here. Stop it. Like it doesn't work.
Different thing. We're doing a different thing. Also, I wanted to shout out, I made a tweet that was like, it's so funny when Snap decides to push the let's release an actually good card button. Like, oh yeah, they can just do that. First of all, I want to shout out Big Baby because he commented that and I stole it and tweeted it. I laundered his joke. Shout out my man. He hasn't played the game in forever, but he's still around ghostwriting for me. And then I want to shout out two people in the comments. One said, I'm surprised they let you get this lippy since they hired you. And the other one said, bro is getting called into HR tomorrow for this banger. And shout out to both of you. However, luckily for frankly everyone involved, they have no oversight or control or desire to have oversight or control over my Twitter.
Yes.
I guess I was surprised that multiple people were like, yo, you can say that? It's like, yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to make it clear. I could pretty much say whatever I want. So that's where we're at. So when I choose to glaze, it's real.
I use barbecue sauce.
Interesting. I also I got another response that was like, too little, too late. I'm done with them. And I never know how to respond to those there's been a couple comments on those where it's like, I'll make a joke and someone will be like, I quit the game. It's like, what do you want me to say? That's okay.
You reply just simply, okay.
No, I don't want to be demeaning. I actually want to know what they want me to say.
Oh, if you
like, what are they
if you bait
for?
them, they will. They clearly want to say something. That's the thing, though.
Yeah, I want to know what it is. Like when you type that,
baiter's gonna bait.
You would know. What is the reaction?
I am not a master at it, good sir. How dare you? Clearly, your Twitter reactions say otherwise.
Earlier in this podcast, I think it became pretty clear that you were. I think that I'm always genuinely confused because it's like, what do you think? I'm going to be mad that you quit a game? Like,
yes.
Like genuinely, like, what is your theory of mind for me? Like, it's a mobile game. It's okay. I fully support your right to do that. You're allowed. I've always been very confused by like what the expectations are of me in that scenario, and so I typically just don't engage. And like it's one of those like sometimes my comments on YouTube, someone will say something, and my comments will be like, "This proves you have no skill," and it's like I feel like I started stepping in and being like, "You guys, you just move past someone you disagree with. You don't need to like be mean to them. You could just not acknowledge it. You could just keep it pushing and move past it." And this is just one of those scenarios where it's like, I don't really have a theory of mind for it. Like if you're leaving an angry comment about the game under my video, I don't really know what you want me to do or say. And that's something I really am curious of. Like, what is it you want me to do or say?
This is now coming from over 10 years of marriage and 2 kids. And I'm telling you confidently, when someone is trying to interact with you on the internet with that type of comment, they are looking for the attention. Not because they want you to justify their opinion or to contradict their opinion. They're looking for you to open the door for them to express their opinion of whatever it is. So the content creator,
like I do a show.
I know, but
we're there. That's like express your opinion. Like,
yes,
that's a show.
And that's totally fine. But sometimes people don't also know how to express their opinions. And they are just looking for someone to guide it. So very often when you see a comment from someone, you're seeing them saying, I don't know any other way to express how I'm feeling, but this is the summary of how I feel. When you don't interact with it, it is what it is. When you do interact with it, they've gotten what they've wanted, which is help me to be able to say this. Why?
I mean, like,
when you ask,
I think it is valid, you know,
and it's valid to have a feeling like that. You're totally entitled, you know, because again, like you said, it's a mobile game. I say it all the time. People ask me, hey, I'm getting frustrated with the game. What should I do? You say the same thing I do. Take a break. Walk away.
Down. What do you mean?
Go outside, touch grass. Like, it's okay.
Yep.
you're not going to hurt our feelings. But very often when people engage like that on the internet, just in general, our videos, other videos, Twitter posts, it doesn't matter. It's, I need to be able to express this and I don't know how. So I'm going to be short because it's the only way I can figure out how to express any part of what I'm going to say. So it's like having an upset partner. It's like your partner just saying, you know, you ask your partner, what do you want for dinner? And they go, I don't know, you choose.
Dude, I love
it's
my
an
fiancé
open
so
door.
much. She's so good at communicating. Like, I'm not to get too sappy here, but my fiance has put a lot of work into being a good communicator.
Mm-hmm.
And it's awesome. It's so cool. It's the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And I am eternally grateful for that.
Given the story of you two leaving the Anaconda movie, the only thing I'm going to remind you of is if you ever see her walking around and doing this, she's clearly not happy. Just warning. If she's wrapping her thumb to somebody else, she's clearly not happy. But
I think even that is like being, I think there are a lot of people who, like, you know, if I'm being annoying, won't tell me. And I think it's really refreshing for someone to just be like, would you shut the fuck up? It's Anaconda. Stop writing a Reddit post. Like, that's nice. I like that. You know what I mean? Like, that is, it is, I'm very grateful for it. That's what I'll say.
Cam, shut the fuck up. It's a YouTube comment. Stop intervening.
Writing a Reddit post? Yeah. Okay. All right. No, I don't know. I just like, as I do a lot to think about people on the internet as people.
Yes.
And try to have a theory of mind for like who I'm talking to and what they're trying to say. And it's definitely difficult to figure out what the theory of mind for someone saying something like that is. I don't really know what it is. And I think there's a lot of like pithy, reductive things that people are going to say. They're just going to be like, oh, just ignore it. Or like, oh, you know, they're just mad or whatever. And it's like, yeah, but I still don't know the theory of mind. And I do kind of wish I did. That's all. Like, I wish I knew what they wanted from me so that I could better deliver it to them. Basically, it's like, I wish I understood the interaction we were having, because I don't understand the interaction we're having.
It's because they don't understand it either. And those who do know what they're doing, that's where this is where then the mind switches from, you know, personality, you know, like my own personal, you know, opinions of reading into whatever I'm reading into versus let me switch into content creator brain. That's why my responses very often are just K. Because if you wanted to say something, you're looking for me to have a reaction to it. And when I give you the reaction that you're not looking for, you need to justify your reaction, which means you figured out the words eventually that you wanted to express, and then you replied to them. So I got 3 engagements out of you, which boosted my numbers. And that's the creator switch.
Christ, dude.
I'm a busy man. I can only type 1 letter at a time, you know? So I just don't give a shit after a certain point, because I am just as much of the mindset of, if you don't want to play the game, that's fine. You're not going to hurt my feelings. But if you're going to try to force that upon other people in a negative way, I'm not going to heavily engage with it. But if I am going to engage with it, I'm going to get gain out of it. And I'm telling you all that outright, because I just don't care. I don't have time to give a crap. I'm too busy with my own life. I'm married. I have 2 kids. I have 4 jobs. I am a busy man. I don't have to try to sell you on Marvel Snap. It's not my job, and I'm not paid to do that on my own channel.
I do think that people assume that it's like my job to individually cater to them and make them come back to the game. That has never been my job. That is never been my job, and I wouldn't do that job. I try to be attentive and around, but yeah, I mean, I think that people's experiences of the game are super valid, and they're allowed to have whatever experience they want. And I'm certainly not going to tell them like, no, you should come back. It's amazing. Like I'm not going to do it. People show up at my channel all the time. They're like, is this a good time to come back? It's like, I don't know. Why'd you quit? Like, what made you, like, I can tell you what's changed in the area that made you quit, but like, I'm not going to sit here and like sell you on it.
Right.
I don't want to sell you on it, right?
Neither do I.
I would like you to play the game if you would enjoy the game, but I don't want to like trick you into it. That's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
I have no, yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you got it.
I was going to say, on our own channels, we are expressing our opinions as us. On this podcast, we are expressing our opinions as us. And we are consistently reminding you that it is a game. If you can remember that and find the balance in your own life to understand and respect that as a play, and let's be clear, this goes for any game. This isn't Marvel Snap Direct. This is just player behavior in general. Find the balance. If you can, you will enjoy it more. And that goes for a variety of, that even goes past gaming, let's be honest here. But I think, generally speaking, when you see a comment like that, I know it's tough not to respond, but sometimes it's very clear who's baiting and it's very clear who's uncertain how to express what they're trying to express.
Yeah. I mean, and I get that. It's just, I wish I understood the interactions that I was having. You know what I mean? So I don't understand them. So I typically don't engage, right? I don't really understand what you're asking of me, but I don't want to assume that you're asking me, because it sort of feels like what they want. If I had to guess, what they want is for me to defend it so they can win an argument. They want me to defend it so they can be like, actually, you're wrong. And it's like, I don't want to defend it.
Right. It's not your job. It's not your job to defend it. No.
I like the game. You don't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's sort of
you don't have to.
Where I'm at. Right. Anyway, we'll end this therapy session.
That's totally fine. I'm more worrisome about the amount of comments now underneath this podcast that are just going to simply say, okay.
Yeah. See, I thought they would go for, I'm so glad this podcast officially represents the takes of the second dinner marketing department. I was expecting a lot of that. And I honestly, God, I'm going to try to be super real right now. And we're going to put this to the test. We're going to put the internet to the test. I would like to believe that if I am honest and sincere with my audience, they will listen to me and respect this. Please don't make any of those jokes under this podcast.
All right, Conrad Birdie.
I am at heart a believer. I couldn't leave her.
I'm a believer, yeah. Oh shit, DMCA.